Hey guys, today we're going to read a story called Mr. Seahorse, okay? Because we're all about baby fish. So look at all these baby seahorses. This story is by Eric Carle. Eric Carle also wrote The Hungry Caterpillar and Brown Bear, and Polar Bear, and lots of other books. Eric Carle, Mr. Seahorse. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" said Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Mr. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs in a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." So seahorses are very special animals. The mommy lays the eggs, and then the daddy holds the eggs and keeps them safe. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by. Ooh, cool page, right? He passed right by a group of trumpet fish hiding in a patch of reeds. So here are the trumpet fish, right? The trumpet fish have fins, and fish have scales. So those are trumpet fish because they look like trumpets. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" said Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs on it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So this is a stickleback fish. And the female lays the eggs on the dad, and he holds the eggs until they hatch. Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, and he passed by. The eggs in Mr. Seahorse's belly getting bigger. He passed right by. Look at this. It's hiding. It's camouflaged. A lionfish hidden behind the coral reef. That's a lionfish. You have to be very careful of lionfish because they're poisonous. They have sharp spikes, and inside those spikes is poison. And he's covered in scales, and he breathes with gills. And he has fins, along to go with the poisonous spikes he's got. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. Oh, wow, look at this one. What's he got in his mouth? "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" said Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia could not answer. His mouth was filled with eggs. I know, Mr. Seahorse said. "Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you're taking good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse. So the Tilapia dad keeps the eggs in his mouth to keep them safe so they don't get eaten like the frog's eggs do. And Mr. Seahorse floated gently down the sea. He passed right by. What's he going to pass by? Several leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. Why do you think they're called leaf fish? Because they look like leaves, right? And they have gills to breathe underwater. They have scales covering their body, and they have fins. They are fish. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs and has stuck them on my head. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." So the Curtis fish carries a seahorse egg. He carries a Curtis baby eggs on his head. Oh my goodness. So a lot of fish are born in eggs. Some fish are born alive though too. So fish can be born 2 different ways. And look at Mr. Seahorse floating upside down. He's getting bigger, isn't he? And Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, and he passed right by. Looks like a rock. A stonefish hidden behind the rock. He blends in, right? This fish uses camouflage to stay safe. And he has fins. And he's covered in scales, and he breathes with gills. And mouth and eyeballs. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" said Mr. Seahorse. This is a pipe fish because it looks like a pipe. "I couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. See the eggs all lined up on his belly? Mm-hmm. Wonder how many eggs are. Should we count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, Mr. Pipe has 21 eggs. Ooh, but before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Bullhead? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Tip-top, replied Mr. Bullhead. Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting. You are doing a fine job, said Mr. Seahorse. He swam on the way. So there is the bullfish, surrounded by all the little baby bullfish. And notice, the baby looks like the parent. Sometimes fish look like their parents, but then sometimes they change a little bit. The time had come for the seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted. Wiggle and twist, wiggle and twist, wiggle and twist, wiggle and twist. This way and that. At last, the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. He reminds me of a kangaroo, doesn't he? One baby turned around and tried to come back in the pouch. Oh, no, said Mr. Seahorse. I do love you, but now you're ready to be on your own. So Mr. Seahorse holds the babies ready. Once they're ready to be swimming, then he lets them go, and he doesn't care anymore. They find their own food, and they swim around, and they have a cool tail that can hook onto seagrass so they don't blow away. Now, seahorse have fins. They're covered in scales. They have a mouth. Their mouth kind of looks like a tube, doesn't it? And they swim in the ocean. Now, fish have gills. Fish are covered in fins. Fish are covered in scales, and they swim with fins. Fish don't usually have legs. They don't usually have hands or arms. They have a mouth. And they have gills. And they breathe through their gills. And they live under water. Now, sometimes baby fish come from eggs, and sometimes baby fish are born alive, okay? You guys should have learned some stuff about baby fish from the TED Talk we posted and from the Brain Pop video, okay? I also included a couple fish videos down below. Not videos, fish stories from Epic Books if you want to read those. And I will see you later. Bye-bye.